So she had to be really conscious of what she did with her money. And so she didn't put her money into things that didn't make sense. Warren Buffett's a little bit different in the sense that Warren Buffett did put some capital at risk. He does make investments. My grandmother was afraid of the stock market. Warren loves the stock market, but the way he approaches the stock market is he eliminates a lot of the risk. So when people say to you when you talk about the stock market and they say, yeah, that's really risky, they're talking about a specific type of investing. It's like if you tell someone about a car and they say, "Yeah, cars go 100 miles an hour." You're like, "What car were you driving?" I don't drive 100 miles an hour. I drive the speed limit. Or somebody said, talks about dating, and the guy's like, "Yeah, all these women, they all want all your money." What women are you picking? Because I don't pick women that want to eat up all my money. Like, so really it's like everybody's experience is shaped by what they or everybody's perspective is shaped by what they experience. We know this, right? So with investing, there are some people who put, pedal to the metal, go super hard with investing, take a lot of risk, and then they'll make a ton of money one minute and lose a ton of money the next minute. But then there are people who do the slow and steady thing and they minimize their risk. They de-risk their portfolio. So Warren Buffett, the biggest way he de-risks his portfolio is he doesn't do one night stands with his stocks. He doesn't have a fling with a stock. He doesn't buy stock for 3 weeks and dump it. He'll hold that thing for 5 or 10 years. He even says if you're not prepared to own a stock for 10 years, you should not even own it for 10 minutes. That's what he believes. So by using time as your ally, what that does is that smooths out a lot of the volatility. When your perspective is long term, most of the risk goes away. All the risk of a crash, crashes don't matter if your horizon's 10 years long. Really. You could be through some of the worst crashes of all time, including the Great Depression. If your investment horizon is 10 years, doesn't matter. You still made money when it was done, especially if you have a consistent strategy and you hold for enough time. But if you're jumpy and you're doing month to month, then yeah, then short-term reactions become much more significant. So short-term problems matter to people who have a short-term perspective. That is true in investing, it's true in life. When I have a disagreement with my wife, it's a short-term disagreement, but then I go to my long-term perspective and I say, well, am I going to care about this argument 5 years from now? And the answer is no. So if I keep my long-term perspective, then I can move on and just business as usual. But if I have a short-term perspective and I'm myopic, which many people are, I mean, short-term gratification is a mental illness in our society, then I'm going to freak out and overreact and do say something I can't take back and ruin the next 10 years because I had a bad 10 minutes. How many times have you seen people do that? Well, people don't just do that with their investments in relationships. That's why their relationships fall apart. They do that with their investments in stocks. That's why their portfolios get killed. So ultimately, Warren Buffett de-risks his portfolio by waiting. If it goes south and everything drops, he just waits, or maybe he'll buy more. He'll buy more in the dip, and he just sits back and waits. And then 5 years from now, whatever was freaking you out 5 years ago, you don't even remember it. Like if I was to ask any of you in this room, what was the stock market doing in November of 2022? You don't know. But if maybe I could show you though a videotape of yourself looking at your portfolio in November 2022 and freaking out, pulling your hair out. Oh my God, I gotta sell everything, right? And you would look at that and say, oh my God, I don't even remember that day. So that's what I'm saying. Big perspective, long-term perspective. That's how you de-risk. The other thing that he does is he doesn't invest in a lot of growth, extreme growth companies that are like pre-revenue